again and welcome back. So today I have another G.I. Joe classified review for you. This time it is Rock and Roll. So I got this guy from the Big Bad Toy Store as usual. Got about 6 figures sent in the mail. He was, I think, $26 US, which is around 40 Australian dollars. So pretty happy with the pricing. This is also my first hands-on experience with a figure in the new packaging. So we have had a change. The blue packaging has gone with just a artwork on the front, and now they've gone for this nice shot of the figure artwork and then some accessories. And look at those accessories. I've been saying it for so long, give us hands, give us stands. Finally, we're getting some hands. I do fear that this is going to be a one-off and not a mainstay, but I can only hope. Then looking on the side, some more artwork. I do quite like that. It has a sort of Vietnam edge to it. Number 71 in the line, and on the back, the pre-rendered shots. 6'4", Craig Rock and Roll McConnell, and then some close-ups of the artwork on his arms, and then the bullets on his back, and then all his particulars here. And then on this side, the QR code where you can learn more about the actual figure itself. So let's open it up, take a look. Okay, so here he is out of the packaging with all of his accessories. So Rock and Roll comes with an M60, a long chain of shells, a sidearm, a short chain of shells, a radio, helmet, a right fisted hand, and a left bullhorn hand. Okay, so before I take a closer look at Rock and Roll, let's just do a quick counterpart comparison with the Rock and Roll from the 25th anniversary line. I only recently got this figure. I never had the vintage Rock and Roll when I was a kid, so I'm really pleased that I've got this one in the 25th anniversary line. And he's kind of changed up a little bit. I don't know if there is another version that's more similar to this in this line, but regardless, you can see the bullets are there, the M60's there, the helmet's there, the beard, all of the main things are there. So yeah, they've done him proud. Happy with that. And then looking at the figure himself, he's got a lot going on, pretty busy figure, not a bad thing. I think it's because of all the artwork, ink rather, on his arms, and then he's got these shells. So it just looks like there's a lot going on. But something which is really, really annoying, and it's something that I'm starting to see with more and more of these pinless figures, is the elbow joint. Now, I'm not sure if you can see it that well on the camera, but the elbows are probably all produced in this same very, very, like a Porky Pig type pink flesh tone. And it just doesn't look real. It just looks so bad, especially against this more tanned flesh tone. Bazooka was the worst so far, but Rock and Roll is also pretty bad. It just looks horrible. I think it's a little bit lazy, and it's a shame, because other than that, this is a nice figure. Very well done. The artwork, or rather ink, on his arms is really, really top notch. And I don't know if it's a design choice, I'm assuming it is. They've had separate pieces, or rather designed separate pieces for the forearm and the bicep, and I guess so there's no cutoff. If that is done by design, then, well done. If not, I guess it's just a happy coincidence. And then also he has like this, looks like a skull on his, the back of his hand there. And he also has that on this really ridiculous, I don't like this hand gesture at all. In fact, I'm seriously considering just cutting the pinky off, so he's got a pointing finger, because this sort of like, surfer dude, bullhorn, whatever, I'm just not on board with that. I don't like it at all. But you can see that they've actually followed through with the design, so well done there. And then on the right hand side, he's got more of this really, really gorgeous ink work, but then nothing on the right hand, and that carries through with this really, really nice addition. So good, just having a fisted hand. And because I'm almost certainly going to have him holding his weapon, that frees up this hand for me to use on other figures. So yes, very, very well done. Give us more fisted hands, please, Hasbro. And then the figure itself is, as I say, it's completely pinless. It is a little bit loose, probably just mine, but the legs are quite loose. The knees are stiff, but the legs themselves are really, really quite loose, which is a bit of a shame. The sculpting for the hair is very, very well done. It's almost a shame to put the helmet on. Probably won't actually display him with the helmet because I really like this. It's like a dry brush over an ink wash that they've given the hair, and the beard also looks pretty cool. It's got a bit of a Viking look going on. I'm not a huge fan of these shells. They're nice, but I think they just look a little bit cheap. A nice wash would have been an improvement, but still a very, very, very cool look from afar. It's only when you bring them up close you can see that, yeah, they're actually not that well done. He's also got this plastic belt that it just sits across the hips. I did think it was attached, but it's not. And he has these 2 peg holes, one at the back there and then one at the side. And that's for the accessories. You can choose if you want to put in either the radio, and that just pegs in either there or there. Probably going to be easier to have it on the back because of the aerial. But then also you get the option, and I think you're only really going to use that here. This is the, I guess you'd call it a clip. I don't really know what the proper name for it is. For him to feed in the bullets, the shells from his M60, and that just sits on his belt there. That's a nice touch. Then he has a holster as well for his sidearm, and you can just get that in like so. Very nicely done. And then he has what looks like a field medipack on his other leg. And then moving down, he's got these nice knee pads and then these cool additions to the boots. Again, a nice wash would have been on there. I think I'm asking for too much with the wash, really, for a, what is essentially a $50 figure. But as I said, it's those hands. Those hands are just such a welcome addition. Really, really pleased. Even with this ridiculous novelty hand, this is a standout. Just having this one hand, really, really cool. Now, Sergeant Slaughter did come with a whole bunch of extra hands, and he does have these kind of like a surly sort of hand. And I think I'll probably add one of those on this left hand so I can get him holding his shells. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the articulation. So by now we're all familiar with the articulation for these figures, and this is no exception. He gets a decent amount of down considering he's got this huge beard, and then about that much up. He does have a peg down in the neck and at the top of the head, so you can actually move the neck independently of the head. He gets full 360, complete butterfly joint at the shoulder, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and again that hideously coloured elbow. Oh, he has full rotation at the peg, on the wrist, and then he gets ab crunch to about there, probably a little bit further, no, to about there, and then he goes back to about there. Drop down legs, thigh cut, double jointed knees, and then he has a boot cut as well, and then a rocker at the ankle. So nothing new in terms of articulation, everything that we've come to expect. As I said earlier, just a shame that mine is ever so loose. I'm seeing this more and more in my classified figures. I don't know if it's just I'm getting a bad lot or they are genuinely loose as it comes nowadays, but regardless. So there he is. Let's do a quick loadout, and I'm going to use this hand I mentioned earlier. This is a spare that came with Sergeant Slaughter, so let's give it a go. Okay, and there we are. So I can actually get a little bit better than that, but yeah, on camera it's a bit tough. Just adjust it a little bit more. Anyway, regardless, I think you get the idea. And I quite like that. You could even probably have... No, it's not going to work. I was going more for that scene at the end of First Blood Part 2. Anyway, I think you get the idea. So there we are. Okay, so my final thoughts on the G.I. Joe Classified Rock and Roll. Now, there is a lot to like about this figure, loads of accessories, but those hands for me just make it a standout. I'm so pleased that we're finally getting new hands with these figures. Let's hope that it's a mainstay and not a rarity. The overall look of Rock and Roll is a nice tribute to his original vintage counterpart, so very pleased with that. The sculpting and attention to detail in his hair and the beard, but also the ink work on his arms is just top notch. I didn't mention it in the review, but he's actually got Mom tattooed on his right bicep, which I thought was quite cool. But then there are a few bits and pieces which are disappointing. As I said, the elbows, the discoloration there, I'm not really sure what's going on, and it is very unsightly. Also, the bipod on the M60 is very cheap looking and just kind of underplays the overall weapon itself. But everything else works. He looks great on the shelf and he has a certain presence about him. I can highly recommend him. He is easy enough to get. You can get him at Pop Culture. I think he's on pre-order at Pop Culture. Robo Toys probably still have him, and of course, the Big Bad Toy Store. I certainly hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please do consider subscribing if you have. And until next time, take care.